What's up, guys? We are back. This is The Real Deal with Casey and Jason, where we talk real life, real experiences, and occasionally real estate, and a lot about fitness.
Always fitness.
Again today. So we got a special guest here today. Want to introduce Mark, who is a Cecil County guy.
Born and raised.
Born and raised here in Cecil County.
Awesome, man.
What part? Here in Chesapeake City or
Elkton.
Elkton guy. All right, so right down the street.
High?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. One of those Elkton boys
Dang,
you gotta watch
man.
out for.
Yeah.
He's the rival.
Yeah.
He's the friend, but he's the rival.
So just somebody that we keep in touch with, obviously more online than anything. Mm-hmm. Just sharing different ideas and kind of we see each other, our family lives and things like that. So we've communicated quite a bit on there, and thought it would be you reached out to us and said I'd love to come on and talk about some different things that we have in common. So welcome, first and foremost.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I really I watched the first episode, and
Thank you.
my interactions with you guys have been really positive anyway. And I was like, these are some guys that I'd like to go on there and talk with them. They're some similar mindsets, driven, care about your bodies and fitness and health and everything. So I thought it'd be great to come on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we definitely do. And this is kind of cool too, because a lot of the people that we've had on have been either business owners or like in commission based
Fitness professionals of some sort.
So, and your story, you kind of have both sides. So you work for Gore, right?
Yeah, I work
as
for
a
Gore.
4-time job, and I have like other friends that work at Gore. They love it there.
Yeah.
They're like, it is just like an awesome place to work. Great, atmosphere.
It's what's the biggest employer in the county, I think.
I would think so for sure.
I think we're still number one. I'm not sure. I
you're
know
up
there
there
are
for
some
sure.
other growth areas for other businesses, but Gore, I'm pretty sure, is still number one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then other things you're involved with are a couple groups that we'll get into.
Yeah.
But also involved with different gyms and things like that. So
Yeah.
You're much stronger than Casey and I are.
Yeah.
You guys can't tell.
yeah, Mark's like, you guys look lean. I'm like, wow, you look swole, man. I need to
Ripping out of that shirt.
I need to put some muscle on.
I'm sure you guys can outrun me though by a long shot.
Jason for sure
Give and take.
could out sprint. I might be able to get the distance championship. I can still run like a few miles at least.
I can't do
I'm like the guy that cardio forgot about.
Yeah. But I think maybe I need to I was just saying I need to rework something like either calories. I need to lift more. Probably run less, do less cardio to put some weight on.
Lifting's the way to go, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely start throwing some weight around.
I need to get in the gym.
Yeah.
I need to get in the gym.
Yeah. Lifting can actually burn more weight though than people think.
Oh my gosh.
You have to eat a lot, right?
Yes.
What do you eat in a day? Do you track calories? You said macros, right?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to maintain, I'm 2,500-ish.
That's not that many though.
I was going to say I expected more, yeah.
If I'm trying to maintain lean,
Yeah.
if I'm trying to get stronger, I'm usually 3,000 to 3,200, somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's a day of eating right
It's
there.
a lot of food,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
And I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to eat too. So right now I'm eating about 23 or 2,400 a day.
Okay.
But I'm also I'm making sure I do 30 minutes of cardio. I do some resistance, not a lot, but it maintains like 185 for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing like that explosive stuff like
Right.
sprinting. I'm not doing like an hour of weightlifting. So it's pretty, I don't know. I'm used to it now where
Yeah.
I'm not like starving at the end of the day. But I do love to eat, and I love I love some like some sugar, some cookies.
yeah,
Oh my god!
I'm not doing that right now on 75 hard. That's the one. That's like the thing that I gave up.
That's
like
yeah.
the diet or whatever they want you to be on. I'm trying to go. Well, I'm going like no desserts. I'm a chocolate fiend. No chocolate, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a proponent of 75 hard because of that.
Yeah, because you got to do something diet wise.
For me, I need balance.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people forget that food is very emotional as well.
for sure.
Right? So it actually lends to our emotional well-being.
Definitely.
We can also overdo it, right?
Yeah.
And it's very easy to overeat. But for me, I would rather eat strict, and then Sunday night I like to have my ice cream.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Oh yeah.
Once a week, that's still living, right?
Yeah.
I'm still
No doubt.
I'm getting that. That's my That's my reward.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens a little bit more than Sunday night, but you know.
Yeah.
I was living every day leading up to this. I mean, I was eating probably 15 or 20 Hershey Kisses like in a matter of seconds.
Really?
Yeah, and all sorts of other chocolate multiple times a day. So this is a much needed break. But I'm with you. Like normally, I don't even think twice about it. I will eat desserts every time I'm out, and Mom brings me. Thank you, Mom. Blueberry muffins, you name it. She just randomly drops off chocolate and food at the house, and I crush all of it.
So you have a metabolism regardless of, like, you're in good shape, but you have a metabolism too, and you just keep working out.
Yeah, you just
that's your secret.
Just keep building muscle. Yeah, muscle works for you.
Because the most people would see you and be like, this dude doesn't eat anything.
Dude, I eat burgers. Like, I think today alone I've had 3 burgers.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, I know I have.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah. Dude, I'd be 208 in a heartbeat if I started eating burgers.
Yeah.
It's true, though. The more muscle you put on your body, the more calories you need, because muscle mass increases your metabolism.
Yep.
So
100%.
the more muscle mass you have, the more you have to eat.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just have to eat the right things.
For sure. I talked to Remo this morning, our buddy Remo, who's going to be on next week, actually. I don't know if you know Remo or seen. He's an Elton guy, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's actually younger.
2007, he graduated.
Yeah, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
But he was a good baseball player, too. But a good buddy of ours. He's going to be on next week. He's my neighbor. So this morning, and we're in an accountability group that we started where we check in on Friday mornings. Like, hey, how'd you guys do this week? You on track to hit your goals with your weight or whatever? And I was chatting with him this morning, and you know, he's kind of like you, Zhang. Like he's like, I stay in pretty good balance. Like I'm not gonna cut anything completely out. And I'm sure he'll get into detail on it, but I'm like, I need that structure, or else I just don't have a governor, dude. I'll just go completely off. So me tracking like calories, and then I know, all right, if I'm gonna have ice cream with the kids, I'll just take it easy on something else earlier in the day, and I'll kind of leave room for it. So that's worked for me so far, but time to pick it up. I'm time to get into the bulking season.
Flip the switch, start lifting weights. Huh?
Yeah. So one of the other things, Mark, that you reached out about, and right after, was the episode we did about alcohol and like creating the best version of yourself. And does it include alcohol? And you've been sober now for
almost 8 years.
8 years.
July 6th will be 8 years.
Yeah, tell us about that if you don't mind, man. Like whatever you're willing to.
No, I am
divulge.
100% transparent about my sobriety. You know, I was really getting consumed by alcohol at one point in my life, and you know, I've had a lot of people say, "Hey, you've made it a long time. How have you done it?" And I think the reality is, I just got tired of my own crap.
Yeah, man.
You know, and people
real.
around me were getting tired of it as well.
Yeah.
But you probably also had lots of people that were enabling it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't, just like, you know, being in those settings,
You know what I mean? Everybody, it's just acceptable.
Yeah. Well, alcohol is the one substance that people give you a hard time for not using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, something's wrong with you if you don't use it.
Nobody ever says to you, "Why aren't you doing heroin?"
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol is that one substance that people, you know, in certain settings will give you a hard time for not using.
Yeah, definitely.
Or not a hard time, but just, you know, it seems abstract to them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
because
peer
it's
pressure.
so socially acceptable.
Yep.
But, you know, one thing about me, I never want to go to a place of judgment on anyone that's been there and done anything the same or similar to what I've done in the past.
Same.
Right?
Yeah. Same.
So people are struggling out there. And, you know, like I said, for me, it landed on my shoulders, right? A lot of people have these theories, you know, they get in arguments about, is it a choice or is it a disease, right? At the end of the day, you have to get enough willpower somehow to reach out for help, to make the right steps in the right direction to get yourself better. And it really boils down to self-respect and, you know, developing good mental health for yourself, right? The majority of substance abuse problems are related to mental health. And, you know, for me, like I was, I think that shame and guilt
Huge.
are two of the biggest emotions that you carry, and they're like an elephant on your back
All the time.
right?
Man.
Because when we're under the control of the substances, we act out of our normal being, our normal, personality and who we truly are at our core.
Yeah, I mean, alcohol is not the problem. Alcohol is just what you do to mask the problem, in my opinion.
It's the symptom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was this vicious cycle of getting drunk again, making bad choices, hurting those around me, right? And you wake up every time, whether you've done something wrong or not, you wake up every time and you have this feeling, and it's undescribable how much shame or guilt you may feel. And like I said, some of the times you did absolutely nothing. You just got drunk is all you did.
Yeah.
But there's this feeling that comes over you, and it starts the cycle again, And I remember even after I was sober for a certain amount of time, I woke up one morning and I didn't feel that. And as soon as I didn't feel that, that's when I started reaping the rewards of sobriety, right?
And how long do you think this was after you stopped drinking?
Probably 3 months.
Okay.
I was, I was drinking pretty heavily, and for a course of about 10 years. I was never a person that had 3 or 4 beers. I had all of them.
Yeah.
And all the shots that went with it, and just whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. Out and about or at home, or, I mean,
always out and about.
Out and about. Yeah.
I rarely drank at home. Rarely. Unless I was completely bored to death, but I was always a social drinker. And I think under the surface, I wanted to keep that away from my kids.
Gotcha.
And I don't think that was conscious. I think that was subconscious then.
Yeah.
Because I was ashamed. I didn't want my kids seeing that.
Which means you knew
What the right thing was. Like, you knew the right thing to do.
I did.
Yeah.
And your kids know more than you think.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right?
That's been a big driver for me. That the past couple months since I haven't had anything at all to drink. But even looking back over the past couple years, is like I don't want my kids to grow up seeing, and alcohol, whatever it is, being a focus that's not them. I don't want them to see me focusing on anything but them. I want them to look back and think about how engaged I am and involved I am, because I find that even we take the boat out or whatever, and it's like you're out there with a group of friends, and you almost like your attention gets diverted from your family, your kids, and it's more on, what are we drinking today, right? We're like, where's the cooler, right?
Yeah.
And that's happened to me before, and I didn't like that feeling. Yeah. So you're right, your kids definitely soak it in. Mine are young, but they still see it. And even now, like that I haven't had a drink this year, they're like, they'll say like comments like, well, Daddy's not going to have anything to drink, or if I'm eating well, they're like, well, Daddy's not going to have the cupcakes. And I'm like, man, they watch every single thing. And they
retain it.
They do. They definitely pick up more that they see than what you tell them.
Yep.
So it'd be very hard for me to tell them when they get older, like, hey, maybe this is something you don't want to do, or maybe you should eat healthy, or maybe you should exercise, if they're not watching me do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this takes us to, so you're involved with a group that we were talking about that, well, just tell us about it. You give us the background on it.
So I'm a volunteer for an organization called the Phoenix.
Yep.
And it's a national sober outreach community. So the concept is there's an app that you can download on your phone. It's on, iPhone or Android, either one. It's called the Phoenix. That's what the app is. And the concept is to create this nationwide active community, right? So I volunteer for them, and I host free workouts. So the cost of admission to be a member of the Phoenix is 48 hours of sobriety.
Love that.
Gotcha. So you can download this app, you can log into it, look in, and what it does is it gives you, within a certain radius of where you are, These are all the activities that are available.
That's cool.
And it's not just fitness. There are things like just hikes. There are all different kinds of activities that you can go to. And it's steadily growing. So a friend of mine, her name's Chelsea, she was a gym member with me, and she moved away a few years ago, and she got a new job with this organization called the Phoenix. And they have, they're in a partnership with CrossFit. And Chelsea was telling me about it, and, you know, just the idea of getting people active and offering something for people in recovery to keep themselves active, keep their mind off of, you know, the tough things that they deal with in life. And, you know, just getting them doing something, you know, was really attractive to me. So I spoke with her, and we actually hosted the first workouts in Maryland for the Phoenix.
That's great, man.
At DB4 Fitness. And, you know, just recently we worked with the folks at CrossFit Petram in Middletown. They now host Phoenix events. And we're getting ready to go live at CrossFit Equity in Elkton as well with Phoenix events there. And we have some other gyms locally that we're looking to expand the program to.
That's cool. And so it's every so often, I mean,
kind of like at your availability whenever you're able to host one of those events.
Yeah, I've been doing them one night a week every 2 weeks.
Nice.
So if I get more participation, I'll do it some more. It's not always easy to get people there, but we are getting some traction. And you know,
great.
The Middletown group, they're starting to get some different folks each week as well. So they've graciously staggered their program with mine. So, you know, I'll have one this week, they have one next week. So there's an available workout for people every week.
Got
at
it.
one location or the other.
And do you find that people come out and it's the same people that generally will attend, or is it a different group, or what do you?
We've had a core,
Yeah.
but we are starting to get, you know, more people filter in and they filter out.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you speak at all about kind of sobriety and kind of your experience? And I mean, because I'm sure that if somebody new is coming in, like they're going to kind of want to understand the group a little more.
We do. We go through, you know, the community standards of the Phoenix at the beginning of the session. I often do an icebreaker question after that to get everybody kind of relaxed and opened up a little bit. And then we go through warm up and workout.
That's cool.
And at the end, we typically, you know, we'll talk as a group and share stories and things like that. You know, one of the things that I regularly share with the group is just how fitness has benefited me, you know, not just physically, but mentally.
Especially mentally, yeah.
And that's the bigger bang for the buck, really, is mental health. And I find that if you can put yourself into a situation that's challenging, you know, I'm a CrossFitter, right? And, you know, our workouts are generally high intensity, right? So they really challenge you physically, which has a mental impact on you in the moment. You know, your brain's telling you things like, you need to stop, you can't do it anymore.
You can't do this.
This hurts, you know, you're going to die,
slower.
You can't breathe.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's when you need to push harder, and that's where the mental toughness starts to develop.
Yeah, growth.
You know, and one of the things I really stress is that mental toughness you can develop in physical exertion can benefit you in everyday life, right? With dealing with the stressors and strains of bills and kids and relationships and, you know, everything that just we're faced with every day.
100%.
Yeah, and it's the same chemical reaction, right? That you're getting exposed to, that allows you to kind of adapt and deal with it.
Yeah.
And this all ties into, we chatted a little bit about this before we started, but so the whole idea of getting sober, and also the mental health aspect of it and how that ties in. So you were sharing some thoughts on that kind of before we started, that, you know, men in general, and I say men especially, don't really have, I don't want to say they don't have an outlet, but probably are just less likely to talk about mental issues or struggles or things that they're dealing with. You know, I don't know why that is, but we feel maybe like we can't share stuff like that because it makes you seem like
there's a stigma about it for sure.
Yeah. So what's your experience with that and like some of your thoughts on that?
So I think for me, one of the biggest things that's made me successful in sobriety to date, right? We always got to keep working it.
Nonstop.
Is learning to manage ego. So as men, we are around egotistical behavior our entire lives, right? Sports, right? Fitness, right? It's all, a lot of it's ego driven.
Ego's the enemy, bro.
Yeah. Ego is the enemy, but it's also, it works in our favor if we can control it.
Sure.
Right. And, you know, I'm as guilty as they come of someone who has had ego problems in the past. I'm sure I still show glimpses of it today, but it's something that I'm working really hard to not do, right? And I think for me, as I've gotten older, one of the realizations I've come to is that being a strong man is not what people think it is in general, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be some tough guy and that you have to go around, you know, boasting about how tough you are and how badass you are, right? Being, you know, a strong man is about also showing compassion for people, right? And supporting other men and supporting your loved ones and being there for them. You know, that's real strength.
Yeah.
You've got to be vulnerable in those situations. It's easy to say, man, get over that and toughen up. You know, like that's what we've heard our whole lives as men.
Yeah.
And it's also why men are killing themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a shame we're losing good people because there aren't enough outlets for them to speak up. And, you know, one thing for me has been those that I surround myself with.
Absolutely.
You know, I went through a couple things in my life that had me pretty down. And one of the reflections I made was, who did I have around to talk to? And if you don't have those men in your life, you need to really assess, like I call it my own personal board of directors.
Yeah.
Right? You need to assess that if you don't have those men in your life that you can actually talk to and have a conversation that's meaningful and say, hey man, I'm struggling right now.
Vulnerability is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to share the things that are eating at you all the time, you got to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, how many men that we know are good people, right? How many of them though would never say to us, man, I'm scared that I might not make my bills next month. I'm scared.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real feeling that we all have.
Yeah.
No matter how tough we think we are.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I think it's so important that we teach each other to let our guard down. And, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you're getting soft. You're getting soft. No, that's not soft. Being around and being healthy and having a good state of mind is way different than being soft.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think you're right too. It takes some vulnerability, but it also takes responsibility on our end to be the one that's reaching out.
Yeah.
You know, because for example, the program that you run with the Phoenix that you're a part of, but with these other issues as well, sometimes that person won't reach out. And we kind of have to take it on our own shoulders to know that we have to be reaching out to our people as well and saying, dude, we have to check in.
Yeah.
You know, that for accountability and just to make sure that, you know, if somebody's struggling, that we're keeping in touch with them. So I encourage everyone to do that. I have a daily practice that I don't always get to daily, but I'm pretty consistent about I'll just literally go through my phone from A to Z on contacts. And when I come across your name on there, you're getting a text that day that says, you know, hope you're well, you know, how you doing? You know, good seeing you on Facebook, but we don't really communicate with each other like it used to be a phone call, right? We used to have a lot of phone calls back in the day. Now it's like you see people on social media, you might comment, you know, give them a thumbs up, but, you know, I encourage everyone to reach out and try to just connect with with your people, because they might need to hear from you that day.
Yeah.
And you don't know that. And then if you don't take that action, then, you know, you're leaving that out there. Ed Milet talks about that a lot. Where, are you familiar with Ed Milet? Mm-hmm. So, you know, and his dad getting sober, and Ed had this like realization after his dad passed away. He was like, somebody helped my dad. And he's like, they didn't even know what was going to happen when they helped my dad. And then he stayed sober for 35 years. Then he had me, and I, you know, impacted these millions of lives. Somebody literally just went out of their way to help his dad and say, dude, I know what you're going through. I'm here for you. You know, come join this group or whatever it was. So I just think we can't minimize the impact that we have with just these, we call them small actions, but like, you impact one person's life and the ripple effect of that can be massive.
For sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you, an eye-opener for me was losing my father.
Yeah, same.
Right? You're an adult, and it doesn't become real until you lose them. And then, you know, I remember when I lost my father, and I knew it was coming, right? And we were prepared for it, but I wasn't prepared for how I would feel after. And it wasn't just missing your father. It wasn't like, you know, the sorrow that comes with that. It was about, I'm on my own. And even though you've been okay and you've been successful as, you know, your own man up until that point.
Yeah, but it always felt like you had a fault, like somebody to fall back on almost.
Exactly. But it's not always consciously viewed that way.
Sure, yeah.
Until they're gone, right?
Yep.
So subconsciously, you always have that safety net, if you would.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once my dad was gone, it was a realization that, wow, you know, I'm on my own.
It's all on me now.
You know?
Yeah.
It is. Like, now there's more responsibility from a family perspective than there was.
Yeah.
You know? And no matter what the situation was before, right? It's different when something like that happens. And for me, I lost, you know, really all of the father figures in my life within a few year period. You know, one of my mentors at work, I'm a tradesperson, you know, a machinist by trade. And my mentor that got me started in that, you know, he was much older than me and he was a great guy. But, you know, he passed away. And then a really good friend of mine that was older than me passed away. And you know, I lost my father and just, you know, my uncle, my grandfathers, you know. So I came to a realization that, like, I'm the last one in the family and I have me to rely on now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was also motivation for me to say, you better get your act together.
Step it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
When was that their dad passed away?
My dad, it'll be 5 years next month.
Okay. I can relate to that feeling. So I felt this, you know, obviously the same way. And my dad and I were so close.
Yeah.
That he was not only my dad, but like, you know, best friend, mentor, somebody that, you know, like these conversations that you might not feel comfortable having with even your closest friends.
Yeah.
My dad was my guy that I would talk to.
Yeah.
So losing that was, you know, it was kind of like a triple, you know, just, it was, man. It's like very devastating to lose that person in your life. But it does give you a feeling of responsibility that it's just hard to put your head around. You know, it's kind of like when you're young, you always look to the people older to kind of lead the way, if that makes sense. Like, you're kind of like, I'm in the boat, but I'm not steering it.
Steering the ship.
And then when you get to that point, and as you get older in your life and you start to lose those people, it's like you look around like, I need to be the one steering this thing. You know, we need to be the ones steering this thing.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why it's so important, like you were talking about, Mark, to develop that group of friends that is that, you know, that family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at some point, they're those people that, you know, like our fathers, when they're gone, you know, what if you don't have that support system already built in? I mean, things can really spiral. I mean, I have not lost my father, but, you know, I've lost people in my life like that.
Yeah.
So having that system in place, and Casey talks a lot about accountability. I mean, that's one thing that I fall down on a lot. I don't reach out to as many people as I should, and I admire those things. You know, you guys seem like you're doing really great things in that regard.
Trying.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's just it's a goal of mine to do that more for sure. But I think that's part of the reason why we started this podcast too. A huge reason why is that we were having a lot of conversations just between us that we're like, we should share this because other people would relate. Other people are going through the same stuff.
We would have these same conversations just like this, just right across the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is our way too of trying to bring some light to things, or expose people to things that they might not know about, like the Phoenix group. If you're out there, if you're struggling and you want to get, in better shape, you want to get better mentally, you want to stop drinking so much, the cost of admission is free, but it's 48 hours of sobriety.
Yeah.
So, definitely reach out to Mark on that and find the app. Because the community, I think, is so important. The people that you surround yourself with, they really do. You do become a sum really of the 5 people that are around you. We'll say 4 or 5 people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why it's important to find people that lift you up.
Yeah,
and that you have that same effect on others as well.
And I have friends. I'm fortunate because I even have friends that aren't sober, that are 100% supportive of me.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's unbelievable when you have people in that situation in your corner, right? So they just accept what you're trying to do, and they don't make it seem weird or odd, just because you don't drink, and they just, you carry out your normal friend interactions, and not much is said about it.
Yeah,
and that's the best way to support somebody that's sober, is by don't make a big deal out of it.
Attention to it.
Offer them a water or a soda and move on. Yeah. If you're at a party or something or out, and because that's all that really matters. We're not there, we're there for the interaction and for the the community, not for the drinking.
Yeah.
And when we are ready to leave, we can leave.
Yeah. And we'll drive all of you guys home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought about that when I did 75 hard. I'm like, man, it's going to be hard because I'm going to be in these places. And I had never went 2 weeks without drinking when I did 75 hard the first time, let alone 75 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I thought it would be harder for me. But all my friends, like kudos to them because it was never a thing. They weren't like.
I feel the same way about my friends.
Yeah, and that's awesome that that we have those people, and if you if you have a different experience, maybe rethink the friends that you're hanging out with if they're trying to force something on you. But no, it's good that we all have that. We're lucky in that regard.
Yeah,
to be surrounded by good people like that. Anything else you want to touch on? Any other topics or things you want to hit on, Mark?
Just one thing I do want to share is that, if people are struggling, whether it be with substance abuse, whether it be, a mental health issue, reach out, right? Find a friend that you can talk to. Don't turn to that bottle or that substance, for another day. Just, have a conversation. And if you don't feel like you can have that conversation with anybody in your life, reach out to one of us. I'm sure any of the 3 of us would be willing to have a conversation. Something else I want to share is that I also sit on the board of directors for Voices of Hope Maryland, which is a recovery program here in Cecil and Hartford counties. And we offer a lot of services to people that are struggling. So, if you are struggling and need help, that's definitely an avenue.
Love that. And how do they find, so just a Google search, they can find that, Voices of Hope?
Yeah, Voices of Hope Maryland. And it's on, internet search, Google search. We have Facebook page, everything. So. And
what's the, just a little bit more about that. What's the, the mission behind that, and what do you guys do? Do you have events for that as well?
Yeah, we host a lot of fundraising events, a lot of sober events. We actually have an event coming up in Hartford County. It's a bull roast. It's actually there will be alcohol served at it.
Nice.
Right? And, which there's been some people have been like, really, you're gonna have an event with alcohol? But that's one of the things that for me, just because there's alcohol in an event doesn't mean that people that have the ability to drink responsibly, can't come there and do that. It's not a promotion of drinking. It's just an option that people have that they can take advantage of if they want to, right? But I think it's critically important because I think there's a division in sober communities and folks that aren't sober, right? And I would classify, there are groups of people that are sober. There are groups of people that drink and can't control it, and there are groups of people that can drink and control it, right? And they're all mixed in together everywhere. But like a lot of these events we talk about, are they sober events? Well, how many people are there that actually do drink, but they're just not drinking at that event, and can build relationships with people and help spread the word and help those who are in need, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, it's about your community. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I know there's been a little bit of buzz on social media about some of that.
But
yeah, it's a fundraising event, and Voices of Hope offers all kinds of recovery services. They have a harm reduction program, which a lot of people don't know about. They just made the Wall Street Journal. There was an article in there that featured Voices of Hope in it. And one of the things was about the wound care program. There are some significant drugs in our community that people are unaware of. And, one of them is xylazine, which is something that's being, other drugs are being laced with that. And it actually eats your flesh. We have specialized resource people that know how to treat those wounds and help people out for something like that. And an array of other services that are offered as well. But, it's a really good program and a really positive thing for the community.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, man, for volunteering for these different things, because it's, it's a sacrifice, right? It's time away from your hobbies, the hunting and fishing that we like to do.
Yeah.
From your kids, your boys. Yeah. So kudos to you for stepping up and doing that, because, you look around, right? If someone doesn't step up, then
how do these things grow?
Exactly.
Get off the ground in general.
Yeah.
So great calls, man. I appreciate you doing that. And, it was awesome. It was good sitting down and chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Finally.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing this out there so that, other people, hopefully this helps someone. And guys, if you are listening, always drop us a line, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe for us. The channel on YouTube has been awesome. It's been growing every week, which means we're reaching more and more people, which is really exciting for us, because this is something that we try to bring things that help the community.
That's it. It's going to help somebody.
County, so.
Yeah, you guys were talking about that before we started the podcast a little bit about, I heard you say we want a place to start community, right?
Yeah.
And this is a great avenue for that, right? Just this podcast itself. And that's why I'm pretty energized about it. And I was glad to come on with you guys.
Thank you, man.
I think you have a real chance to make an impact.
Thank you, brother.
That's awesome. We appreciate that. Guys, until next time, this has been The Real Deal. See ya.
See y'all.
See ya.